Yes, boy!
Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. It's been a few weeks, so of course there's going to be some technical difficulties, but this is the Mark It Down podcast. I'm James Gisanti, joined tonight by Matt Cascone, and it's Wednesday night. You know what that means. We're here to cover AEW Dynamite, hot off the heels of two back-to-back incredible pay-per-views, All In and All Out. We are in a hot period, if I'd say so myself, when it comes to AEW, and we are building momentum. We are building speed to Grand Slam here in our neck of the woods in New York in 2 weeks. I'm very excited to go to that show. Matt, we got to figure out tickets sooner than later. We didn't get to cover All Out. That's on us, guys. We're sorry. You know, it happens every once in a while here at the pod where there's like this cosmic wave of everybody being busy with real life stuff. So we are sorry. We did catch up with it. We did get to watch it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Matt, did you overall thoughts on the show?
I thought it was good. The wrestling was very good. I think it needed something. It needed a little something extra, a little cherry on top, which it did not have, in my opinion. That being said, I do think the main event very much delivered, and we'll get into it more as I think, like, as we're reviewing this episode of Dynamite. I think we can, fly back a little bit to all out, as they kind of pertain to one another. But like you said, things are getting hot and heavy on the way to Grand Slam. And James, why don't you sit up straight a little bit, so we can see. Sui Mama, we're matchers tonight.
Oh yeah, baby. We're all about fashion. We're all about fashion here at the Mark It Down podcast, and thankfully that will come into play later as we discuss the main event of tonight's Dynamite. But Matt, what were you saying before I cut you off?
I was just gonna say I missed the first half hour, so why don't you get us started? What happened first?
Well, right off the bat, we are dealing with the aftermath of what happened at All Out as we go to a backstage vignette segment, very clearly following the attack at All Out by Jon Moxley and the Not Blackpool Combat Club on, I guess, their excommunicated friend, Bryan Danielson. Jon Moxley speaks about how they tried doing things Bryan's way. He even mentioned William Regal. That's not a name we've heard on TV in quite some time. He's about the formation of the Blackpool Combat Club and what it was supposed to represent. Mox says the egos in AEW are running out of control and he can't take it anymore. Can you hear me even if you can't see me?
You skipped out for just a sec, but I can still hear you. That's right. Jon Moxley, he can't take it anymore. It's his company and he wants it now.
No, he can't. Matt, why don't you spend a moment talking about what happened at All Out with the Blackpool Combat Club and Jon Moxley while I fix my internet?
Sure. So at All Out, we had Bryan Danielson versus the scapegoat, Jack Perry. And, I think Jack Perry came out to All In and looked like fantastic. He decisively beat Darby Allin, and we'll get to Darby Allin later tonight. It's weird how decisively he beat Darby Allin in a coffin match, Darby's match that he's never lost. And Darby is also the number one contender for the world title. It's just a weird thing. Like, he won that that gauntlet or whatever it was on a Rampage some time ago. Then he was in the Blood and Guts. And at the end of that, he kind of, like a terrorist, got his demands met so that he would get a TNT title match. Lost the TNT title match, but he's still the number one contender for the world title. And we'll get into that in tonight's Dynamite. And that match between Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson, it was pretty good. I just didn't want to see Jack Perry in a losing predicament that soon after such a great moment in All In. And also, he didn't come out to this Fire Burns by Kill Switch Engage, which James told me might still be owned by WWE. I don't know. I think that would have been awesome if he came out to that in Chicago. But at the end of that match, Christian Cage, the daddy of them all, daddy of the daddies, the daddiest, maybe father, not so much daddy. I don't want to get I don't want to get Billy Gunn mad. But he comes out with his number. He's also like, he can get a world title shot anytime he wants. So he comes out. He's going to get a title match against Bryan Danielson. Instead, Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club plus Pac come out for the save. Christian Cage and his lackeys run away. The five of them are in the ring, and something's going to go down. And so Claudio hits Bryan with an European uppercut. Bryan goes down, but he kind of just looks shocked. He almost no-sells the uppercut. If you saw on our Instagram story of All Out, I did watch All Out at the time, but was not able to review afterwards. Again, I know James already apologized. You're getting my apology now. And then, well, I'm not going to reenact it, but do I have anything around here? Jon Moxley grabbed a plastic bag. You're not a thick plastic bag like that, but he got a transparent plastic bag and started suffocating Bryan Danielson. Again, just poke a hole through it with your finger, but we can't do that. It's wrestling. It's got to be, I don't know, more dangerous, I guess.
Wait, hold on. I understand what you're saying. I feel too many people have been murdered by suffocation via plastic bag for it to be as easy as, why don't you just rip a hole in the plastic bag?
I feel like the only people that die of plastic bag damn it!
So,
asphyxiation. Did I say it right? Okay. Are either very young children, like under the age of 5, or people who were doing it on purpose and, God rest their souls.
Well, just to finish up off what you were saying, yes, it seems that the BCC is no more, and Moxley certainly has a vendetta against not only what AEW represents now and what he perceives to be Bryan Danielson's failure to protect and to preserve what not only AEW should be in Moxley's eyes, but what the BCC should be in his eyes.
Oh yeah, he's a big failure. All right, won the world title. Yeah, what a loser.
I mean, I've seen dumber splits.
So have I, but I still think this one, like, we haven't really figured out entirely what the motive is. Like, we sort of have, right? Because I missed the beginning, so maybe I missed some things. But it's just kind of like, one, I just said what I said, but also, Mox has said like he wants to kind of like take over and like reestablish everything. That would also mean not just like taking out like Danielson or Tony Khan. It would mean taking out the Young Bucks. And that is not happening. Like a bad guy Mox group is not going after the Young Bucks, especially just because Claudio and Wheeler Yuta just lost, a title match against them.
I think they're sort of leaning into Mox. I think what we're going to be seeing is that Moxley and his group are meant to be like the voices of, I guess, the people. That a lot of people, the perception of AEW is that AEW has lost the feeling, and that AEW right now is sort of being run by like the lunatics are running the asylum.
but that's what they're going to be doing.
But I think the idea is it's not meant to be anarchy. They're trying to restore order. And I think all of this is coming to eventually bring in, and I'm worried about it, but I think I wouldn't be shocked if this is to bring in Shane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Or maybe it's Shane is the one who is mobilizing Moxley. Because quite frankly, Moxley's biggest success in WWE was underneath Shane McMahon's SmackDown.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And I could see Bryan being the leader of like Team Tony Khan and Moxley being the leader of Team Shane McMahon.
I'm not crazy about Shane coming into to AEW. I think before he came to WWE, back to WWE, I was always just like, you know who was really underrated? It was Shane McMahon. And for the longest time, that was the deal. But then when he came back, it was cool, but he was just on so much. Like you look at those blue versus red Survivor Series match, SmackDown versus Raw, he was always on the SmackDown team, like every single year. Maybe not literally, but it was multiple times. And it's like, bro, like come back for like a match here and there. If you want to have a WrestleMania match, fine. Maybe we can fit it on the card. Because he did put on good WrestleMania matches for the most part. But he definitely overstayed his welcome, and that would be my fear here. That being said, I want to say one more thing. It would make sense because Mox, this whole, like AEW's lost its luster. It's like, okay, Mox, but the third time you held the title was while it lost its luster. So you're like almost to blame as it is, or you should have been able to steer the ship in the right direction at that. Like that's why they put it on you, because it was like there was nobody else that could do it. And we didn't get the magic back.
I think the idea is he's done everything he could for AEW, but he's the only one. That's how I think that's how he views it. And that's why he attacked Bryan. Bryan doesn't have it in him to do what he's doing to keep AEW what it should be. But it's still very early on in this story. It's still very early on in this process. So we're going to be seeing more. We're going to be hearing more. And we're going to be learning more about Jon Moxley and his group's motivations moving forward.
The wheels will be turning. We're going to peel back more layers of that onion. That onion that is Jon Moxley, that smelly son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's smelling.
But moving forward, we go from that backstage segment to an in-ring promo as Christian Cage. Oh, you know what? Let's acknowledge some of the comments. First of all, we got You Know It in the crowd. What's up, You Know It? I hope you're having a good night tonight, friend. You Know It saying the BCC, the way it was meant to be, it did lose track from where it started. I know that's a common sentiment among a lot of the fan base, and I'm not even going to argue with you on that, You Know It. I've seen a lot of people agree with that idea. I don't know that I necessarily agree. I don't think what the BCC's mission statement was always super, super clear. Like, Bryan and Moxley wanted to raise, like, I guess the next generation of, like, grapplers in AEW. And while they did that with Yuta, I think the group very clearly was just meant to be, we're a group of guys who love to fight and kick ass. And we're going to do it together. And that was basically it.
I also feel like they could have gotten a new member in there sooner. And also, it just felt like they were always turning from heel to face. Like, it just, I felt like they should have kept evolving, but all they kept doing was, like, you know, heel turns.
I know there was talk at one point or another of Daniel Garcia, and this is like not just storyline, but like legit. They wanted to bring in Garcia. They wanted to bring in Lee Moriarty. They had a bunch of names that they wanted to bring in, but I just don't think it ever materialized for this reason or that reason. And quite frankly, I mean, I think Garcia is better off having not been in Blackpool Combat Club. I think he was better off being part of the Jericho Appreciation Society because he really, really developed character work there. Lee Moriarty, yeah, I guess he would have probably benefited for being in the club because he's doing jack and shit right now, unless you count Ring of Honor.
Yeah, isn't he with the new, what are they called? Shane Taylor Promotions? Isn't he?
I think so. But going back to you know it, Mox did talk about a mentor in War promo recently. Which mentor he was talking about, huh? Yeah, no, we're definitely talking about Regal, but we definitely got the name drop tonight. So that was interesting. That was cool.
But maybe that's a swerve, not Strickland swerve, but like an actual swerve. Like maybe he obviously is referring to Regal tonight because he name dropped him, but maybe before he wasn't. You know, maybe he wants us to think he was talking about Regal.
Yeah. We then see quickly before we get to the Christian Cage promo, Darby Allin skateboarding his way into the building through the parking garage, and we all know that Moxley has been looking for Darby Allin. Getting into the ring, we are joined by Tony Schiavone, who's already in the ring, and he introduces Christian Cage and the Patriarchy. Christian Cage asks everyone to sit down and shut up while he conducts his business. Cage says, according to Nick Wayne, the word on the street is that he has infinite aura. Cage says that with a guaranteed title contract, he is undeniable. Cage then says Killswitch grabbed him by the throat. Christian Cage then says when Killswitch grabbed him by the throat at All In, something finally clicked in his eyes, and he understood that he's the monster Cage has always wanted him to be. Cage says he didn't get to cash in his title shot at All Out, but promises that Danielson's days as champion are numbered. Cage then says he is going to beat up Danielson so badly that Brie will be the one who wishes she had CTE to avoid seeing what an embarrassment Bryan is. That was a fucking hard line. That was like, I am all for these heels saying some dastardly shit, but god damn, that was dark.
Yeah, I missed it.
Maybe
This
I'm
part of
getting
the
old.
show. That sounds brutal. I thought you were going to go in a different direction, like say something about like Nikki, and I was like, oh my god, no, that's.
I hope that they have enough tact to avoid talking about that. I don't think they
will. If you found some way to, I wouldn't suggest doing it. But then again, I'm not a writer. Who knows what somebody could come up with? But I don't think they would. Or they at least would let more time pass, but I just think in general they probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Personally, I don't see the benefit of muddying things up that badly. But after that promo, we go backstage where we are met with Will Ospreay and the Don Callis family, as Don is flanked by Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. Callis mentions how tonight we will have the tag team Casino Gauntlet match, and he mentions how Ospreay is undefeated in the Gauntlet match type. So he asks Ospreay to team up with Fletcher to go on and hopefully win and challenge the Young Bucks for the tag titles. Ospreay says he has a lot on his plate right now, but Callis cashed in the favor for letting Ospreay leave the Callis family. Fletcher then pled his case, and Ospreay agreed, and everyone seems to be happy except for Takeshita, who is just staring daggers at Ospreay. This feels like a silly thing to cash in your favor on. The tag team titles do not quite feel like the important thing to cash in that big favor on if I'm Don Callis.
I agree. But
here we are. Here we are. I've been saying it. I think Don Callis might be kayfabe the dumbest manager in wrestling.
See, I think the opposite. I think maybe he's like 2 steps ahead. Maybe he has something else in mind that we're not even aware of. So while on the surface it might look like a dumb decision, maybe it's the right decision. Only time will tell.
Maybe. Only time will tell. But we then go to finally what was our first match of the night. We had a lot of segments, but we have the TNT Championship on the line as scapegoat Jack Perry defends against Lio Rush, who is accompanied by Action Andretti. It's like you said, Perry definitely needed a strong showing after having lost to Bryan in the world title match at All Out, and after having had a great showing at All In. So I think he definitely got it with this match, as he showed a ruthlessness that we are obviously getting acquainted with pretty well since he's come back as the scapegoat. But we're also seeing him start to emulate people. Like, obviously, he's been using Brian's Busaiku knee, and that is how he got the win tonight against Lio Rush, having hit 2 in a row before putting Rush down. But commentary made note of the fact that he's starting to really use the Snapdragon suplex, the move of Kenny Omega. Or I don't want to say it's just Kenny Omega's move, but it is something that certainly Kenny is associated with, and something that Kenny has definitely brought over, I guess, here to American audiences. I'm very conflicted if this means that Kenny, when he comes back, his first feud is going to be Perry. Obviously, he's going to have unfinished business with the New Elite. Obviously, he's probably going to work his way through the New Elite. But I'd be shocked if we're just going to forego the Okada match for Kenny to go after Perry instead. But that does seem to be what they're setting up.
Interesting. Definitely a lot to unpack there. That's another thing. Like I said, I wanted Perry to come out to this Fire Burns. I'm surprised he doesn't use any Punk moves, you know? Like, that seems like an easy, even if it's not. Go on.
Even if it's what?
Even if it's not like his main ones, like even if it's just something like the high knee in the corner followed by the bulldog, you know, like a standard transition move.
I think for the sake of Perry's overall career, we need to be able to separate him from Punk. Because if all he's going to be is the guy who fought Punk backstage, he's not going to grow past that. And we need to be able to grow past that. We need to get to a point where the crowd isn't chanting CM Punk every time we see Perry. Like, I understand leaning into it for All Out when we were going into Chicago. I understand leaning into it when he came back and everything. But I think more than anything, Perry is going to have a longer future still in wrestling than Punk will, because Punk is definitely on the older side and he's not going to be wrestling long term for much, much longer. But I don't want Perry to forever be marred by the CM Punk association.
That's fair.
But that's just me. After the win, Jack Perry is met up by Alex Marvez backstage, and Marvez asks him about the defense, and Perry says people like him, meaning himself, are crucified in their lifetime so they could be worshipped in the next. He then throws his TNT championship in his bus and drives away. Man of few words, but powerful words, I guess. Very, very poignant.
Was the bus like
very
in a
Hollywood?
spot?
I mean, he had it parked in the garage. That's where he met him. Let's see. We have wow, it's saying Punk moves. You mean like a sucker punch? That was pretty good. Good bird. Good Punk bird. And Eric Grisanti, I believe that's.
Lost James for a second there. You guys still playing?
And we haven't had a producer boy in a while. But yeah, we still do this thing. Technical difficulties and all.
Yeah. Why don't you go to the next thing? Because we're getting close to where I caught in, just in case we lose you.
Thank God. Let's see. After this, we had. Can you hear me?
Yep. Keep going.
There you go. After this backstage segment, we go to another area in the backstage as Hangman Adam Page is being interviewed by Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette, who, by the way, could not look less enthused about having to interview Hangman. I love this evolution of their relationship. I love how she is just so disappointed in Hangman. I think that's such a great detail. I think it's such a great touch. Hangman says that if Renee asks Hangman about where he's at mentally after, you know, everything he's done to Swerve, having burned his house down and then defeating him at All Out. And Hangman says that if he could have found 1,000 of houses that Strickland had lived in, he would have burned all of them to the ground. Hangman says that he wants everybody who saw him at the pay-per-view to know he meant everything he did to Swerve. After everything Swerve had done to his family, he stands by and meant everything that he had retaliated against Swerve. I've got a fun comment here that I am not going to pull up, but
I'm going to look at it.
I don't know if you see this in our on our Officer Christopher Jackson.
No,
I don't know if you're talking about me, buddy, but it's a pleasure to be the
do you
man
know
of your
that
dreams.
person? Do you know that person?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Be on the lookout.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm not putting this up on the. I'm not
He's
putting
an
this
officer.
up on the comments, but it's,
Officer, not so much a
quite
gentleman, but definitely an officer. Eric says,
But
Eric
anyway,
says, put it up. Put it up, you coward. No, let's.
No, we're not going.
I just want to
we had a
know
producer boy.
where did Hangman get the syringe? That's what I want to know.
He's always ready for.
Is it
Guys,
a-
I can't put it up, and it has already been deleted. But Hangman then says that anyone who tried to stand between him and Swerve, anyone who tried to protect Swerve, Hangman will find them and he will hurt them. He then pushes somebody down. I didn't quite see who it was. He walks by Top Flight and the Dark Order, and Dark Order tells him they don't even know who he is anymore. He is then confronted face-to-face by Jeff Jarrett, who tells him that he has been in the wrestling industry for a long time, and he knows that at the end of the day, no matter how much hell he raises, at the end of the day, the hardest face he's going to have to stare down is his own in the mirror, and that he will pay for what he did to Jarrett's wife. Hangman then punches Jarrett and strikes him down, throwing him into a bunch of chairs before being separated by security and the roster. And Hangman then runs away as Karen Jarrett demands he be thrown out of the arena. Just craziness. Just absolute craziness. I miss my Hangman. I miss my good guy, sad boy Hangman. This isn't the cowboy I love.
It's the cowboy we deserve, or not the one we need right now.
I don't think I deserve this.
But real quick,
I don't think I deserve this. I don't think I've done anything wrong.
Real quick on All In, I thought it was a shame Jeff Jarrett didn't come out with Taylor Swift, or just at least have her in one of the sky boxes watching the show. Like, I think that would have done wonders for them. Like, literally just have Taylor Swift show up for 10 minutes of Jeff Jarrett's match, show her in the crowd once or twice, not the crowd, but the skybox. And like, that would have made front page, like, entertainment news the next day, which AEW desperately needs.
See, I agree with that notion, but I don't know why you thought that would have ever happened. I know Jarrett has like that weird history with Taylor from like years and years ago. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't keep in touch.
Well, I think they had something had been brought up like about that, and she like responded positively from what I heard, and then also she was just playing at that arena, and she had even been like walking around the arena while they were setting up for All In, from what I read. So like, I was surprised that, you know, Tony Khan didn't go over to her and bring Jeff Jarrett around and be like, can you please just stay for like 10 minutes? I'll give you $1 million, like, or something like that. Like, I just, because that would have been huge, but it didn't happen. What are you going to do? Maybe next year.
But, yep. Moving on. We then go to what was supposed to be a 6-man match, a trios match between Private Party and Commander, who were supposed to take on Spanish Announce Project. But that match never happened as the Blackpool Combat Club, not really, attacked them during their entrance, as it was Claudio, Pac, Marina Shafir, and Jon Moxley absolutely clearing house and just decimating everybody in their wake. Marina Shafir here, in my opinion, is really benefiting from this inclusion in the group. She looks like an absolute badass as she maintained throughout the entire segment, throughout Pac's entire promo, just a chokehold on Commander. And she looks like a badass. They're being smart, and they're not, no offense to Marina, but they're not letting her speak. So she's just looking like $1,000,000 right now. And finally, it feels like she's finding her stride in the company after being there for a little while. So good for Shafir. We got a comment here. They are dating. Keep it on the down low. Who?
Oh, okay.
Who?
Me and Shafir, obviously. Roderick, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. No, I would just like to reiterate what you just said, and we'll go into the promo. But yeah, she looks great. Her arms looked great. Like, she's never not been in good shape, but like her arms looked big. Like, you could believe that she's choking out some dude. Obviously, she has the MMA background, whatever size her arms are, but just compliments on the arms. And I don't know if she's changed her hair color up at all in the past 2 weeks since she came back, or if maybe it's just settled in more. I thought it looks good too. Like, it's or either that or it's grown on me. I don't know. Just compliments all around for Marina Shafir for presentation, how she's being booked, hair color, and them anchor arms. So good for her. But why don't you go in about the promo Pac pulled? What was that? I feel like that was an appropriate set of compliments. I don't know.
No, I think it was. I think you did good. Bravo. So Pac gets on the mic as the beatdown is continuing, and he says that they have been patient, but enough is enough. He says AEW is broken, and what happened at All Out was inevitable. They are inevitable. Pac says that he was lost for a long time, but not anymore. He now has a purpose. Pac says diplomacy has failed, and this company is theirs. You expressed earlier to me that you weren't crazy about the promo.
Some of it I liked.
I thought it was all right. I thought it was short and sweet, and it got to the point.
I like that the diplomacy has failed part. The lost part, I don't really buy. I would have preferred something more shooty, like my death triangle. Like he could say like something like the BBC is gone, Death Triangle is gone, we are what remains. I don't know. It didn't speak to me. I don't think it was bad. It just didn't speak to me personally.
And that's fair. Sometimes not everything's going to connect, but like you said, it's good to recognize when it's not bad. We then go. I don't know if I have my banners in order. We do, thankfully. We are backstage. This parking lot got a lot of play tonight.
Filthy for Swifty.
Filth.
Phil is so swift and filth. It was from earlier. I liked it. So, but what happened in the parking lot? Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
Is filth footballer? Is that what you're saying? Because I get it. Travis Kelce's a good-looking guy, you know it. But regardless, we then go backstage where the parking lot got a lot of play tonight as we are greeted by the Learning Tree. Hi, guys. They pull in with a Bentley that Jericho is driving with a license plate that says "Hi, guys."
Bentley convertible. Bentley convertible.
Very important note. Jericho says today is a glorious day, pointing out his new car, his team, his suit that was stained by Orange Cassidy years ago. Jericho says he found something of Cassidy's, and he holds up his backpack, and he says he's going to show it to everyone later tonight. I already had a little bit of a headache thinking of Orange getting sucked back into the Jericho vortex after he escaped it years ago, but it seems we're going back to it.
Yeah.
And See, you know it. Yeah, I know what MILF is, but like, what the fuck is filth?
I read it. I misread it as like I thought he meant filth, like filthy, and I'm like, filthy
No,
for
no.
Swifty, but filth as in MILF, but father. I don't know.
We all know it's DILF. Like that's the accepted vernacular.
That's
But regardless, we then go to what was, I thought, one of the. Eric, I get it, but just it's not right. I'm sorry, you know it. I don't mean to call you out.
No, he's derailing us. Like
Who, Eric?
either produce or stop. Stop.
He's working hard tonight. But
All right.
we get to our second match of the night, as we have Sammy Guevara taking on Ricochet. These two men have not been in a ring together for 7 years. They have a long history going back to the Indies, and I got to tell you, I thought this was a fun matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Something you put on TV. It's for the wrestling fans, and this is the kind of match you want to see Ricochet be in after leaving.
Exactly.
WWE.
I completely agree with you. And in my mind, I thought this was the first match he should have had back on Dynamite after debuting at All In. Do you remember who they had him wrestle on Dynamite a couple of weeks ago in his debut match? Well, I think it was
Fletcher.
Yeah, and Fletcher is an amazing talent. He absolutely is an amazing talent, and that was a good matchup. I feel like this Sammy match should have been the first match because despite how good Fletcher is, Guevara's style is way more suited to Ricochet's style.
And I thought this was the better match between the two.
Yeah, I did too. You know it. You know I love you. You know I'm kidding with you. It's just when it comes to Travis Kelce, that man has gotten me multiple football fantasy trophies. I'm very protective of him. Very protective of him. So I'm just messing with you. But this match had everything that if you don't like AEW, you would not like here. It had a lot of flippy action. Not a lot of story behind it, but I enjoyed every minute of this matchup. These guys were countering each other. These guys were one-upping each other. Both men just trying to take their turn to outshine the other and to impress the hell out of the audience. Guevara taking his moment, jumping off the top of one of the entrance tunnels, doing a huge moonsault onto a standing Ricochet on the entrance ramp. One point, Ricochet did a double jump, going from one barricade to another barricade before hitting a flipping senton onto a standing Guevara onto the outside.
And almost hit the stairs.
And almost hit the stairs. Yeah, it was a scary but awesome spot. I think both of these guys were just trying to show off because it's not just Ricochet who's trying to redefine himself in this new company. It's also Guevara who has been gone for quite some time and has really only been cutting his teeth again in Ring of Honor. As we saw, he's now one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions with Dustin Rhodes. Yeah,
very strange. Dustin Rhodes seems to be like babysitting the tag division in Ring of Honor right now. Kind of bizarre. I don't get it.
I think they're just trying to give Dustin things to do to remind him to maybe re-sign with them and not go back to WWE.
I suppose. They at least need to change the titles. All those titles look identical. Like it's all silver.
All right,
black,
they
red.
really do, right? It's the same shape, the same strap, and the same plate.
Yeah. It's not a bad design, but if all your titles are black silver with red lettering, that's bad. And not all your titles can be silver. That makes you look like second best.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like silver titles, but like they can't all be silver.
Ring of Honor historically mostly always had silver belts, but when they had their gold belt, it looked great. I miss their gold belt. But I digress. Like I said, this matchup was a lot of fun with Ricochet getting the win with his new finisher, which was I couldn't quite make what it was. Was it like
it's like a face plant? I don't know, like kind of like that.
It's kind of like a suplex pile driver, kinda.
It's fine. I just don't think it makes much. It makes much for a finisher, more like a signature to me.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him for wanting to have a finisher that isn't a top rope move, because you're allowing yourself a little bit more mobility. You're allowing yourself a little more freedom to hit a move, not quite out of nowhere, but like without much setup. But we'll see. I think it's going to grow on me, but I'm not sold on it yet. After the match, Ricochet, as he's celebrating, is attacked and wildly speared by an out of nowhere Beast Mortos.
Really, out of nowhere, just completely random.
I need you guys to know how much I love Beast Mortos. He is such an incredible talent. I loved him when he was Black Taurus in TNA. I think he is so good, and he's been killing it in Ring of Honor, and he's finally starting to show himself on AEW TV. So I'm really happy about this development, and I'm hoping this leads to good things. I'm not thrilled that he's going against Ricochet right away, because I'm pretty sure this means he's going to lose. But he was derailed. He was thrown out by Sammy Guevara, who attacked him with a chair, protecting Ricochet, and then shaking hands after the match, signifying the mutual respect between these two stars. So let's see where this goes. Maybe Mortos is going to be beefing with Ricochet. Maybe he's going to be beefing with Sammy Guevara. Or maybe he's going to need a tag team partner, as he's going to beef with both. But we shall see. Moving on, we then had a backstage interview with Kazuchika Okada as he is being interviewed by Renee Paquette. And now let me tell you, first of all, right out the gate, this is a much happier Renee Paquette, because she knew she was in for a fun interview with Kazuchika Okada. She asks him about his successful title defense at All Out, in which Okada defended the AEW Continental Crown Championship in a fatal four-way against Konosuke Takeshita, Orange Cassidy, and was it Ishii? No, who was it?
Mark Briscoe.
Mark Briscoe, thank you, the Ring of Honor World Champion. God, that just sucks. But
hey, he's getting more opportunities in AEW, and he got to be on a pay-per-view. And he wasn't the one who got pinned. So
I'm so happy for Mark. I am not happy for the Ring of Honor World title.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't want to see the world champion of another company challenging for a mid-card title in this guy. It just doesn't feel right to me.
Again, collecting belts. That's what he's trying
to
do.
I get it. But when Kenny collected belts, they were all world titles, not mid-card titles. But I digress. This is me nitpicking. It's
fine. I'll just throw in, I thought Chris Jericho was definitely going to interfere in that match and cost Orange, but then I remembered there's no outside interference allowed in Continental Crown Championship matches. So.
What a crazy concept. Guys, I'm a bad guy, but I'm going to respect the fact that there is no interference in Continental Crown matches. Any other match, I am not going to care. But here, I respect that.
Well, it's not that they respect it. They just don't want to get like suspended or fined a huge amount of money.
But then if you're Tony Khan, if you're the AEW board of like disciplinary action, why not just make that the rule for all of your matches?
Because then there would never be any surprises. And then it would be boring.
I get that from an out of from a real life perspective. But from an in-universe perspective, it doesn't make any sense to me.
You want to have some chaos. You know, you always need a wild card thrown into the mix. You got to liven things up.
Easy there, Charlie Day. It always weirds me out how good you are at that. But back on track. No tangents here at the Market Down podcast. Okada talks about how that was the hardest night of his life, defending that championship, as he starts to break into tears. And he then begins to laugh wildly and smile, saying, but he did it. He did do it. Okada is then confronted by Don Callis, who is flanked by Takeshita. And Callis says what you said. He didn't pin Takeshita. He pinned Orange Cassidy. Okada then says that one day Takeshita will be a champion, but he will not be the Continental Crown champion. And it won't be his title. He then walks away before coming back and saying, bitch. And that brings Takeshita face to face with Okada. And that is a matchup we have all been waiting for a long time now. So bring it on, whether it's Grand Slam or Wrestle Dream. I want to see Okada versus Takeshita yesterday.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
The sooner the better.
I would say a lot of ways.
Let's see. Go into this comment.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Comments.
No, go ahead. No, please.
I
Go
would
ahead.
say a lot of ways I've grown up with my humor. Like I don't like toilet humor anymore. But I guess I just hate women, so I love when Okada says "bitch." It's the funniest thing ever, and I love it. Obviously, I don't hate women, but I do like it when Okada says the B word. It's funny.
I know a lot of people are conflicted about Okada's booking as being like this comedy guy. I love producer boy. What are you doing here? I love that Okada manages to have epic matches and be a silly goofball at the same time here in AEW. It's not one or the other. So I think he is absolutely thriving right now. Eric also wants to say that was clipped. What you just said is going to be clipped. But moving on, we then go to, I believe, Back to the Ring as, what do I got here? Oh, yeah, we do go back to the ring as Darby Allin comes out and he says, somebody has been looking for me. Well, I'm here. And this brings out Jon Moxley, who is flanked by only Marina Shafir. Moxley goes to Darby and says, I don't know what you've seen. I don't know what you've heard, but you and I, nothing's changed between us. Darby then grabs the microphone, cuts off Moxley, and says he has always looked up to Moxley. When Darby was starting his career, and he was looking for somebody to look up to, Jon Moxley was that man. Somebody who didn't do it for the money, who didn't do it for the BS. He just loves professional wrestling and would do it whether it's at an indie show or whether it's at a local high school. Jon Moxley loves wrestling, and he respected that. But after what he did to Bryan Danielson, he says he wants nothing to do with him. He would never do what Moxley did to somebody like Sting the way he did it to Bryan, because they're supposed to be family. Moxley then gets back on the mic and he says he's going to cut right to the chase and says that Darby is supposed to have a world title match against Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam, but that isn't going to happen because the champion isn't going to be fit to compete. Moxley says I agree. Mox says that's a good thing because he's not ready and he wants Darby to hand over the title shot to him. He says that he really cares about Darby, and but he knows that he's not ready to be world champion. He wasn't ready 5 years ago. He wasn't ready 2 years ago, and he's not ready now. Darby then asks if Mox is stupid and if he's been drinking again. He says Mox didn't earn the title match and he's not just going to give it to him. Darby says if Mox wants it so bad, he has to earn it, to do something about it. Moxley says that if he wants him to earn it, he will, and he then challenges Darby to put that title shot on the line at Grand Slam and tells Darby he will never be AEW World Champion. He says that the title shot is going to be his, and he'll teach him a lesson the hard way. Darby accepts this and says if he wants to burn AEW to the ground, don't be surprised if he pulls him into the fire. I thought that was a sick line. Now, first and foremost, I really got to compliment Darby here. Darby has come so far on the mic. He has gotten so good with his promos, and he is feeling so much more natural these days than he ever did at the beginning. I think we're seeing a much more developed and polished Darby on the microphone. It's still raw. It's still not the cleanest type of promo, but it feels very real and it feels very natural.
Yeah, I would mostly agree with that. And I will just say I liked the second half of the promo more than I liked the first half. And you said that last line was pretty. It was real, not pretty good. It was really good, and there was a bit of a burn on that drinking line. You know, kind of edgy, and unexpected, and so it was good. I mean, he's just falling into the good guy trap of like putting his number one contendership up on the line because he gets goaded into it. I feel like he should be smarter at this point, especially since he just lost the TNT championship match. And also the fact that I think Mox makes some very good points. The fact like he wasn't ready 5 years ago, 2 years ago, you know, the other times he's challenged. And I think he didn't even have to say it, but if you want to think about it from in universe, I talked about it while you were out in the beginning of this pod. He just lost a coffin match for the TNT title. He lost his marquee matchup. He lost it. He couldn't beat Jack Perry. Jack Perry couldn't beat Bryan Danielson. If you can't beat Jack Perry and Jack Perry can't be the world champion, what makes you think you can beat the world champion? There's like, sure, is anything possible in the world of wrestling and just the world in general? Sure. But it seems to me like, Darby, you got to do something different because you're not ready for Danielson, and we'll see what happens with you and Mox.
I mean, I just to go off of what you're saying, I believe in the rock, paper, scissors rule of professional wrestling. I don't think it matters if you lose to one person and somebody else loses to that person, or if you lose to that person and somebody else beats that person. Like Roman beat Dean Moxley in WWE, and Moxley would always lose to Seth. Roman would beat Dean, Seth would beat Roman, and Dean would beat Seth. That was always sort of the relationship they had in WWE. I don't think it necessarily matters if somebody loses to Bryan, because I think the other person could beat Bryan. But I understand the point you're making.
I don't believe that in this circumstance, but I do totally get what you're saying, and that is a valid point. I just don't think it works in this.
I see it. I see in the comments Eric is saying to mute me. Is my mic going off bad?
You kind of like pause for a second or two here and there, but you're still like, it's still legible. It's still a watchable stream as far as I can tell from my standpoint here, you know.
All right, I'm gonna do my best here, guys. Sorry.
I do think it's fine. We just gotta the timing's a little bit off, but it's still, I feel like it's a watchable episode. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
Eric is just telling me to shush. Not that there's anything wrong, because I am wrong according to him. Love you too, Eric. But regardless of all that, I understand the point you're making, but winning a number one contenders match is winning a number one contenders match. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like people who win the Money in the Bank. If you win that Money in the Bank, it doesn't matter if you lose every match up until you decide to cash in that Money in the Bank. It's still a guaranteed title shot.
Unless you put it up on the line like a doofus.
Like Darby is. And going to the comments, going to what Eric is saying, he says it appears Darby is taking the title from Bryan if they're postponing. Now, to go off some reports that we've been hearing that there is a strong conversation happening in backstage AEW about the real possibility of Darby actually taking the title off Bryan. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility, especially now that it's not happening at Grand Slam. But it would feel weird if Moxley loses to Darby at Grand Slam, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're establishing Moxley and this group as a big deal. They're establishing, like, this is a new phase for Moxley. I can't imagine a heel Mox who rarely lost as a babyface is going to lose as a heel to Darby Allin.
And he's beaten Darby Allin numerous times one-on-one, I believe.
Exactly. I mean, and that's not to say that Darby hasn't grown as a performer and he might now be able to beat Mox, but now it just feels like a weird time to do it.
I don't think Darby's at the top of where he's been. He's not as hot as he once was. He's still popular. People are still going to go and see him. People are still happy to see him. But it's like, you'd have to do something significant for him to be world champion. Maybe they do something. Maybe he does something with his group. Maybe he turns heel. Or maybe something happens with him and Sting. Like Sting helps him out, but he kicks Sting in the balls. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. But something I think would significant have to happen. You can't just have it be Darby wins the world title just because they're in Seattle for Wrestle Dream.
I mean, I agree he definitely needs to be heated up, but I don't necessarily think a heel turn is what he needs either. But granted, if he is going to take the title off Bryan, I wouldn't be shocked if there's some booing that happens regardless. But yeah, I think they put themselves in a very interesting position because narratively, it just makes sense for Bryan and Mox to clash after what Mox did to him at All Out.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you do that without making Darby look like a punk. So it's an interesting corner they've backed themselves into, but I'm interested to see how they get out of it come Grand Slam.
The weirdest part would be a lot of people wanted Sting's last match to be one-on-one versus Darby. And, you know, it's like you have Darby win and he retires Sting. That didn't happen. You know, some people liked what happened. Some people didn't like what happened. Doesn't matter. But Darby didn't retire Sting, but he might retire Bryan Danielson. That was not on my 2024 AEW bingo card. Like, not at all.
Eric's saying it seems like Darby is joining Mox, so yeah, it's confusing. Maybe I'm the only one who didn't get that because you said something similar. Maybe he should join Mox's group, but like it seems like he has no desire to join Mox's group.
Unless he's trying to fool us.
I guess so. But even then,
Bryan.
Mox is making it, and Bryan too, which again makes sense. But even in doing so, you're making yourself look like a bitch. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited for Darby to be doing something meaningful again. I'm excited for what Mox is doing with this group. And I'm just not going to be happy with whoever beats Bryan. Yeah. Whoever does it is going to have a black stain on them forever with me.
The other weird thing for me personally, I thought it was not good timing for Jack Perry to challenge Bryan Danielson. If Darby is the one to beat Danielson for the title, and that comes like September or October, whenever Wrestle Dream is, I feel like that would be the perfect time for Jack Perry to step up and take on Darby Allin, the champion. Even if maybe Darby is heel at that point, I don't know. You could literally just say Jack Kirby. I keep saying Jack Kirby. Oh my God. Imagine Jack Kirby as a wrestler. My God. I'd love to see him.
I mean, I'm sure he'd be able to design a great wrestling outfit. Yeah.
He'd draw some, I'd love to see him draw wrestlers. Anyway, I digress. I think I almost said it again. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin for Darby Allin's world title. Like that, I think would be the time to give, Jack that showcase match, but then again, I guess maybe they wanted him to have a match with Bryan. So
it's a couple of things. Bryan probably really wanted to wrestle Perry, which this retirement tour is about giving Bryan the matches he wants. 2, that if they were going to do it, they wanted to do it in Chicago, where Perry was going to get the most heat. And 3, now that it won't matter the timing in the long run because Perry's going to have a built-in argument when the time comes to face Darby saying, I beat you. I want a shot at the very similar to what Sammy and Gunther are doing on Monday Night Raw, where it's like, I beat you for the TNT title to retain my TNT title. Now I'm going to challenge you for this world title because I know I can beat you and you know I can beat you. I've earned it.
Well said.
So
You figured it out.
But again, bridges will cross when we get there. Saying Brian comes out to help Darby and Darby turns on Brian. That would be a great way to get some monstrous heel heat. And saying it's all going to be a trick on Brian. Mox is now Darby's new Sting, which is funny because if you have a long memory for AEW history, Moxley was Sting for Darby before Sting. Darby was one of Moxley's kids, really. It was him. It was Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, these were his kids, and like, that group never really materialized. But, like, they teamed up quite a bit. Yeah, because Powerhouse betrayed him like a jerk. But that friendship persevered for many years. We just saw it sort of take a back seat as Mox was doing more stuff with the BCC. But I'm glad that we're playing with this history. It makes a lot of sense to me. Even if but the thing for me is if Darby joins, he does not fit the aesthetic of that group at all.
Well, that's why they're not the BCC anymore. And also Pac is kind of different from them too. Can he do the technical grappling stuff? Absolutely. But he is a high flyer.
I agree I agree with you to a point, but we've seen like Pac will tap you out just as much as he will pin you with the black arrow. So, but regardless of all that, I understand the point you're making. So very interesting development. I really don't know. I don't know who's going to win at Grand Slam between these two. I think this is the match of the night in terms of not knowing where this could lead. So let's see as we get closer to Grand Slam, only 2 weeks away. After this segment, we go backstage where Christopher Daniels is being asked about what just transpired. Daniels says that this was an unnecessary risk on Darby's part. Darby is known for his risk-taking, but this might have been just a step too far. He's then interrupted by Nigel McGuinness. Nigel telling him that he's got something very important to talk to him about, and it's something that Tony Khan is going to want to see and hear right away. They then rush backstage. They then rush off camera, and we are left to wonder what that is. We then go back to the ring as we have an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match as Mariah May, our women's champion, takes on Queen Aminata. Queen Aminata, this match was set up at the All Out pre-show as Mariah May attacked Sky Blue. Attacked her, knocking out her crutches from underneath her and getting ready to put the beat down on her until Queen Aminata made the save. Queen Aminata being Sky Blue's bestie, both in real life and in professional wrestling. In general, it's a little weird because the last time we saw Sky Blue, she was not only a heel, but she was also very spooky. But I guess we are just going to pretend that never happened. We're moving past it. And yeah.
I hope she just comes back into the ring and like before she has a match, just like pours black, I don't know, like just does something, just like just goes like and like there's just black all over. Like maybe not the way I'm saying it now. It sounds like she's doing blackface. Don't do that, kids or anybody.
All you needed to say was the word goo. All you needed to say was the word goo, and we would have gotten it.
I did. I initially said goo, and then I'm like, but then I don't want it to be like Alexa Bliss goo. You know what I mean? That's the bad thoughts that brought up. And I'm like, well, so yeah, I just dug my hole there. I apologize, but
it's okay. Walk it off. Off.
Yeah, no, this match I was looking forward to. Mariah May, her first match in AEW was against Queen Aminata. I was there. It was in Jersey, and I had COVID. Did not know at the time, but I was a little bit out of it, and I was just kind of watching the match, and I'm like, groggy. I don't think the match was great. I don't think the match, people really liked it. I think this match, again, I don't have COVID, so maybe that has something to do with it. This match seemed much better, so good for both of these ladies for, growing these past 9 months or so. And I thought it was a good match overall. Only complaint, just get rid of these eliminator matches. It's like, I don't like them. It's just if you beat the champion on a one-on-one match, then you should be strongly considered for the next number one contendership. That's just, you just make it unofficial like that. Just get rid of the Eliminator. There was something else I didn't like that I kind of compared it to the Eliminator in WWE. Now I can't remember, and I'm mad. It's like doing title matches at house shows in WWE. Like 99% of the time, the title is not going to change hands. Like, just don't do it so much. Like, or just figure out a different solution, because I don't think this works.
I get what you're saying, and you're not alone in this thought process. A lot of people I seem to have issue with the title eliminator. Again, maybe it's just me. I don't mind it because I like the concept of, if you beat the champion, you should get a title match because you have proven yourself superior to the champion. And I hear what you're arguing, that you're not against that concept. You just don't necessarily need it to be official. Like, it doesn't need to be an official match. I personally, I don't think it really matters one way or the other, because you're going to get the same result no matter what. If the champion beats you, you're not going to get a title match regardless. If you beat the champion, you should get a title match. So I don't really think it matters.
Here's the thing, though. They do them in AEW. So if one time they don't have it be eliminated, it's not an eliminator match, and you beat the champion, like, it's like, oh, well, it wasn't an eliminator match, so they're absolutely not getting a title shot. And then I'm kind of like, what?
When was the last time, though, that a champion had a one-on-one match?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. I get the point. I get the point, because again, I'm letting you know, you are not alone in this criticism. You are not alone in this thought process. But I think, and not you in particular, but I think at a certain point, we're just splitting hairs over how we get to the same result, no matter what we call it. Oh, you good? I don't know if you did that on purpose. Hold on. I think you did do that on purpose. Well, you could add yourself. Can you add yourself back? Give me a thumbs up. Was this on purpose? I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't even mean to do that, but it was funny.
Just madness. Just madness.
I just had to step for 1 second, then just coincidentally did turn myself off. But let's just keep moving forward, because I'm starting to yawn. And I don't want to put everyone to sleep.
All right. Well, we'll do a speed run of this because my internet seems to be holding out for now. Moving on, we have, so yes, this match, I enjoyed this matchup between Aminata and Mariah May. They were very evenly matched as the match started, with both women sort of dodging and countering each other's attempts at anything, whether it was a running strike, a kick, a pin, a bridge. No matter what, we saw both women countering out of it. So I thought this was a very good back and forth. I liked that essentially the only thing that separated these two women was Mariah's willingness to cheat, her willingness to be the bad guy. Eventually, Mariah does get the win after hitting a Storm Zero to collect the pinfall. Afterwards, the championship is in the middle of the ring. Mariah just sort of is laying down next to it and says that she still hasn't had her title celebration. Mariah says something is missing. Someone is missing. She then asks Mina Shirakawa to come back to AEW. I don't know where this is going. And I know where the internet wants this to go, but I don't know where this is going.
Bonk. Bonk, internet. Bonk.
We're bonking
the internet.
We're bonking the internet. And granted, they're playing into it. They're absolutely playing into it. But yeah, I don't know when this will happen. I don't know if this is going to happen on a pay-per-view or on Dynamite. But all jokes aside, I am very much looking forward to Mina Shirakawa being back on AEW TV. She wowed me. I can't even begin to say how big a fan I've become of hers since her AEW appearance. As a wrestler, she has just thoroughly impressed me with her character work and her ring work. So yeah, no matter where this goes, I get it, Matt. I get it.
The kids do it now. They do it like this. They do the hearts like this now.
This is how we did it.
Yeah, I did. That's how I did it. I would say what they should do, and hear me out all the way. She announces they're going to do a live sex celebration at Grand Slam, but Marina comes out and is just like, "Screw that! Like, I want a title match."
Marina or Mina?
Sorry, Mina. Yeah, Mina says, like, she teases it. The only problem with that is that then all the horny fans are going to boo Mina. Like, I wouldn't. I mean, we got to see we saw them do the triple kiss live at Forbidden Door. So I think that's as good as it's going to get. So that would be my suggestion. Or again, she could. I think Mariah should do the thing where she wears both the titles, like, and nothing else. Like, I think it's been done, and I think it's a legitimate part of wrestling. Like, Shawn Michaels has legitimately done it. Melina has legitimately done it. And then, like, everybody, Jacqueline did it where she did the one and the boop. And then everyone else has, like, parodied it to death, but, like, personally, you know what I mean? Like, they just do it on their Instagram and shit like that. You know, like, Tommy Dreamer's done it, Hornswoggle's done it, but, like, no one's done it on TV. Like, all those things were pictures. So, like,
I don't know how you do it on TV though, without, like,
have like a really safe, practiced environment, and you figure out how to do it. Obviously, you have pasties just in case.
I think we're getting too into the details on
well,
this.
you asked me.
I was thinking more from a film standpoint, but I understand. I opened the door to that one. This is us monetized now, guys. So
that's as sexy as we're gonna get until we open that special channel for our special members. You'll get the feet photos and whatnot.
You know it. Hornswoggle had he stole Matt Cardona's internet championship for that picture.
He's also held the WWE Cruiserweight Championship.
And he did. He's the last Cruiserweight champion, isn't he?
Of that Cruiserweight lineage, era. Yes.
Yeah.
And he's held some indie titles. Like, he's been the Creator Pro tag champion, tag team champion with Mark Sterling.
Yeah. Good old horny.
So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I mean, obviously, I just think any interaction you get with Mina and Mariah May, whether it's sexy or like standoffish, I think is a recipe for success, and I will leave it at that.
There you go. So, time will tell. Moving on, we go backstage where we are with the Young Bucks. The Bucks are annoyed. The Bucks are frustrated. Matthew Jackson says that when they first started AEW, they wanted to have the greatest tag team division of all time, but they didn't know that just meant them. Matthew says they are still here doing all the heavy lifting. Nicholas Jackson then says they booked the Casino Gauntlet tag team match to see if anyone is worthy of challenging the greatest tag team of this generation. He then says that they'll be out there watching live as the Casino Gauntlet happens. So, something to look forward to later on in the night. We've got one more comment here. Okay, you know it. We then go to a very well done Jamie Hayter Saraya vignette where they go over their history and they go over their upcoming matchup and this feud that they're in. So I'm just glad that they're giving Hayter something, you know?
It's still not enough. We talked about it on All In that we think she should have been on the main show, that segment. And then we talked about it in our pod chat, not on the pod here. So I'll say it. We thought Hayter should have had a match at All Out. Get rid of the tag title match between the Bucks and Claudio and Wheeler. You could have had a third women's match, which would have kind of blown my mind, but it's deserving. Hayter's come back. She was like super over. She's been gone a long time. They need to heat her back up, and they're just not doing enough right now. Not that she can't succeed, but I think considering what she's done for the company and what she's been through, and considering that it's amazing, she's the one person that surprised everyone that they pulled the trigger on perfectly. Like I've said that in the pod too, and James has agreed with me. Like there's been other people they've succeeded with and pulled the trigger on, but maybe they've waited. Like they were a little more hesitant. They pulled the trigger on Hayter perfectly. They should have given her either an open challenge at All Out, or Saraya should have been like, they should have done like a pick your poison, like Saraya picks her opponent. And they should have given her a match at All Out.
I don't disagree with you. I'm not, I'm not ringing the danger bell quite yet because, quite frankly, she's only been back less than a month still at this point. But I do agree with you. It feels like a wasted opportunity not to have had the match at All Out.
Twice. Two wasted opportunities.
Look, it's up to debate about All In. I am on your side of it for All In, that it should have just happened on the main card and not on the pre-show. But it's not like they didn't get the crowd hyped up no matter what. And it's still probably the most talked about thing from that pre-show. So it's hard to say it was a wasted opportunity with All In, even though I get I'm part of the argument that it should have happened on the main card. All Out, I give you. That match should have just happened at All Out. I don't know if they plan on building it all the way to Grand Slam. I don't know if they plan on building it all the way to Wrestle Dream. But yeah, I agree. It felt like the type of thing they could have just been done with by now.
Well, I think they want to build it more, and that's fine. Like, again, I said maybe Saraya does a pick your poison. Like, she picks Hayter's opponent, not that Saraya faces Hayter. Like, they could have absolutely done that match at All Out, but I'm fine with them building it slower. But I'll just say they should have either A, had Hayter on the main card of All In, or B, had her have a match at All Out, or C, both. The fact that they did neither bugs me, and it also I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah. Asking, is there a reason, or is it just him, but does Hayter look like Becky? Is there something behind that? I just think it's the hair color. I just think it's the bright orange hair color. I don't think they're hinting at anything. Quite frankly, I'm very much of the belief when Becky comes back to wrestling, she's going back to WWE. I can't imagine any world that she goes to AEW. I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible, but I'd say it's like 70-30 WWE, if not 80-20 WWE.
Agreed. And I think just the hair color is coincidental. And also, like, her body shape is different than, like, she used to be like, I'm trying to word it that she's always been in great shape, always ring ready, but her body type is definitely changed from, it's closer to Becky Lynch's body type now than when it was before.
She's got a slimmer build now as opposed to the more brawler.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I was trying to go with, and I just didn't want to flub it up.
No, you did good. But yeah.
You did okay. I got you to help me.
Teamwork. But yeah, I good vignette, all things considered, and hopefully we wrap this up sooner than later. We then go to a trios match as we have the Learning Tree. Chris Jericho teaming up with Bandit Keith and Big Bill, taking on the Iron Savages and Jacked Jameson. I did it on purpose. The match itself was fine. I'm actually really happy with how much work Keith and Bill were able to put in. This didn't feel like the Jericho show. He came into the ring wearing the stained orange jacket, and that was fine. But this was really more a showcase for Keith and for Bill taking on the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson. And quite frankly, it was Keith who put the final touches on Jameson, only just tagging Jericho back in to get the pin, but it was Keith who put him down. So progress if you're a Brian Keith fan like we are here at the pod.
Absolutely. And I'll say it's funny, like his finisher, Brian Keith did the Diamond Dust Took a while to get the tag in for Chris, and then Chris pinned the dude with just his foot. So the Diamond Dust is like one of the most devastating finishes in all of wrestling right now, as far as I can tell.
That's not a bad point. That's a very good point. So keep on building, Keith. But after the match, that's where really the real fun of this all was. Orange Cassidy is still Jericho is still holding Orange Cassidy's backpack, demanding the $7,000 he feels Orange owes him for destroying his jacket. Jericho goes through the backpack and says that he didn't find money in the backpack, but he did find this, a picture of Orange with his former best friends, Chris Statlander, Trent Beretta, and Chuck Taylor. And thank you. Jericho says that his problem, Cassidy's problem, is he's too obsessed with friendship. And if he thinks he has a friend in wrestling, he's probably just being used. Big Bill looks at Jericho strangely with those remarks, by the way. But Jericho continues to demand cash. Cassidy then gets on the Tron and says he has Jericho's money going through his pockets, showing like lint and some change and everything, but he says he doesn't have it all on him. He then says his boys are bringing the rest of it. We then pan over to, again, the most used garage in, I think, wrestling TV, as Kyle O'Reilly and Mark Briscoe are driving a front-end loader, a kind of a scoop truck with that, with the plow, and then they dump over Jericho's open convertible Bentley $7,000 in change, in pennies. It looked like.
No, it was change.
Jericho sold this. It wasn't just pennies. It was change.
It was change. Should have been. That's one of my complaints. It should have just been all pennies. It was change.
I didn't mind it. I thought this was great, especially because of how Jericho sold it. He sold this as if this was Vince McMahon or The Rock's car being filled with cement. This was so silly, and I liked it. It's the first time Jericho has been involved in something silly in a while that I was able to just laugh at and not think, what a waste of time. I know you disagree. I'm going to let you have your moment to talk about it. But this felt like the type of thing Orange Cassidy would do. It felt like on par with the comedy that the conglomeration does. And I think Jericho did a great job with it. Sure, maybe it being all in pennies would have been better. But I think the message is the same no matter what. But by all means, go ahead.
You're right. The message definitely is the same. Change is change. But just overall, I just thought it was disappointing because it's like you see them with the top loader. And it was funny because Mark Briscoe and Kyle O'Reilly, they both have the construction hats. And like Kyle looks like a silly goof. And Mark Briscoe always looks like a silly goof no matter what. Love you, Mark. And they're just pulling up to the thing. And you're like, oh, wow, what are they going to do? And then you're like, oh, okay, they're going to dump something on it. And I'm like, well, they say it's money. So, like, it didn't do any damage to the car, really. You know what I mean? And
but again, I think that was the point. I think that was the point, though. I don't think Orange was trying to do damage to the car. Or if he was, this is just how Orange does things. He's not that guy that he's going to just destroy a car.
Still, you see a top loader go over to a car, you like the payoff wasn't there. Like, I guess literally it was because it was money, but I don't know. Like, maybe if it was just a bunch of like penny rolls, I don't know. It just wasn't satisfying at all. And like the announcers were selling it like death, and I'm just kind of like, Also, here, just hear me out. One more thing. From a production standpoint, it's like you're doing all this work for something that unsatisfying. You got to get the top loader. You got to make sure Mark is like properly, trained. He probably is already. He probably has it on his farm, But regardless, I'm sure he had to have all his tests passed. You have to now clean up the car. You have to make this car is rented. You got to make sure it's just like it's a nightmare for such little payoff.
I get what you're saying, but I think that was the point. But I'm also just going to correct you on one thing. I'm seeing multiple people say that it was pennies. Like multiple sources are reporting that this was just pennies and that these were all pennies and not just loose change.
I'm pretty sure I saw some silver stuff.
I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and watch, but the jury is out on this. But I understand what you're saying, but I think this was the point. I think the lack of payoff was the payoff, given that it's Orange Cassidy. I think all in all, Danny will be our final judge on this whenever he sees it and whenever he comments on it. But yeah, that was once again another learning tree segment.
I think they're just usually more clever, is all I'm saying. Is like when they have those the things where it's like, oh, it didn't like at All In when Orange Cassidy came out, one firework went off, and he was just kind of like, what? And I'm like, that I thought was hysterical.
But you do know that happens every time he comes out, right? Like he always has just the one pyro.
I've never seen it before.
It's his thing, man. He's putting in the effort barely. By the way, I got to correct it here, saying he's the only mark here. Sir. We're all marks here. Going back now to the show, we then go to Nigel McGuinness, who is in the ring by himself.
Time out. Definitely change.
All right, fair enough.
Go on.
Fair enough. I'll give it to you. You did the research. You proved the internet wrong. You proved me wrong. I'm proud of you. But we now have Nigel McGuinness in the ring. Nigel McGuinness, who's a little fired up, and he says he has something he needs to get off his chest. Nigel says with Darby Allin putting his title opportunity on the line against Moxley at Grand Slam, that means there won't be an AEW World title match at Grand Slam. Nigel then says that's good for Danielson, but it's not good for AEW. Nigel believes the AEW World Champion should be competing at Grand Slam. McGuinness presents a contract and says he's an afterthought of Danielson's career, but he's an afterthought of Danielson's career that should have been his. Nigel says Danielson is afraid of him, and he mentions how having to spend years on the sideline watching Bryan's career from afar, and obviously there is just a little bit of resentment there. Nigel says Danielson
living
is
through
afraid.
his success. Yeah.
Yep. Nigel says that Bryan is afraid of the one match everyone wants to see, but Tony Khan isn't afraid and knows a money match when he sees one. McGuinness says he'll be facing Bryan Danielson at AEW Grand Slam. So, I have thoughts on this because overall, I'm very, very happy. As somebody whose introduction to independent wrestling was Ring of Honor, and watching those early matches of Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness in Ring of Honor, I am blown away that close to 20 years later, I'm getting to see it on such a big scale. That said, the whole reason Darby isn't getting the title match at Grand Slam is because Moxley said that Bryan would be too injured to wrestle. But if Bryan can wrestle, why isn't he just wrestling Darby Allin?
You're exactly right. It makes no sense. The thing they are saying is that, like, will Bryan be able to be ready in time? Like, he's not ready now. Will he be ready in time? Darby's already made other plans. It's kind of one of those things like where you and me have a date, James, because me and James date all the time. It's our thing. Sorry, I'm trying to be funny. We have a date. We have an engagement, whatever. And I might have to work late that night. I might not be able to make it. And you're just like, well, I'm not going to hang on a maybe. I'm going to go on a date with my actual girlfriend, Matt. So I'll see you later. And I'm like, but then one of the other pod guys is like, Matt, come hang out with me that night. Okay, sure, maybe if I get out of work on time. So I know that was a really weird explanation. It got weird. I apologize. It reminds me of when Jack Swagger was on the Survivor Series team, got taken out by like Rusev or something, and so he got replaced, but he was better in time to have a kickoff match
God, it's
with
awful.
Cesaro. It was like, what is this dumb shit?
I remember that too.
My main complaint is that the match between Danielson, unless they change it, they still got time. The match between Danielson and Nigel is non-title. And Nigel even said, like, oh, I'm going to retire you. And it's like, okay, so you're going to beat the champ. He's going to retire and the title is just going to become vacant. Like, what?
Wouldn't be the first time in AEW. But I don't think the implication was if he beats Bryan, even in a non-title match, Bryan is retired. I think the idea is he's going to do so much damage to brittle Bryan that Bryan is going to have to retire. I think that's the implication of what he was trying to put down. But I expressed this to you before we got on the pod, before we went live. I do think there is sort of a beautiful symmetry to this, that it's like, as George Lucas would say, it's poetry, it rhymes. Bryan's first what?
It's a God, what does he call it? It's a tone pole.
A tone pole?
A tone poem. A tone poem. What the hell is it called? Just keep talking.
Bryan's first match in AEW was at Grand Slam against Kenny Omega, who was the world champion, but it was a non-title match because it wasn't about the title. It was about the two best in the world having a match. It was about this match that fans have been wanting for so long, having a match. Asking if it's a totem pole you're trying to say, but I don't think
it doesn't matter. I think what you said was right. It's like poetry.
It rhymes. Yeah.
Yes.
I know my George Lucas. But,
it's just late and I'm tired. I apologize.
You're good. But I think there is sort of a beautiful symmetry there that Bryan is now having that match on the way out. This match that fans have been clamoring for. This match that is deeply personal to both men. And yes, Bryan is the world champion, but it's not about the championship. There's a part of me that wonders if this is going to go to a draw. And
okay.
I think that could be, again, beautiful symmetry of how it started, where he went to a half-hour draw with Kenny Omega. We'll see. I don't know. All I know is I don't care how we got there. I'm just excited that we're there because if that match was going to happen, I didn't think we were going to get it. But I am so, so happy that we are. So looking forward even more to Grand Slam. We then go to a Hook vignette where Hook is talking about Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong, who Hook says that he respects, but was disturbed when his group, his flunkies, the Undisputed Kingdom, started choking him out. Hook says that's not the Roderick Strong he knows and respects, and he challenges Strong to a match for the FTW title any place he wants. So, again, I'm assuming that's going to be for Grand Slam. Hook having a big match in New York is just a thing that happens, so I'm here for it. And we know Roddy's going to give him a good match. So let's put the kid through the ringer because he's going to get chopped to shit.
And also backbreakers. And it looked like Hook was definitely in New York City. Like that was a great spot when that pulled up and there's just a bunch of trash behind him and a random dog ran across the screen. That was fucking great. Like I didn't give a shit what Hook said. I'm like, yo, the setting is perfect.
Yep. So, and I like that. I like that AEW plays into that with certain people. I wish more people had that personalized touch, but I'm glad that Hook gets it. As a New Yorker, it feels very real.
Yep.
We then go to our main event, the Casino Gauntlet tag team match. to determine the number one contenders for the Young Bucks tag team titles at Grand Slam. The very first team to come out was FTR. FTR, who no strangers to the tag team titles, no strangers to the Young Bucks. Coming out to face FTR out the gate was Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. And it was a good way to start the match. You have a very respected tag team. You have one of the most popular and best wrestlers in the world, Will Ospreay, and it got the crowd going. Coming out third was The Righteous, Dutch and Vincent. After that was the Undisputed Kingdom, which were obviously Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. And then we went to commercial break very late in the night, to the point that it's like, wow, we're really going to be going past 10 o'clock. And then after the Undisputed Kingdom was the Acclaimed. And then came what was, I think, the second biggest pop of this match, and would have been the biggest pop of this match if it wasn't for the number 8 team. But it was Maximum Male Models. Mason Mansoor coming out, and the crowd exploded for them, and it was awesome, and they've earned it, and I'm really happy for them. Ever since signing with Tony Khan, because I don't know if they have a contract with AEW or Ring of Honor, but ever since signing with Tony Khan, they are living their best lives, and I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, I was shocked they stayed together after leaving WWE. You know, you were together in such a shitty gimmick, or just being shittily booked. And
I think that's the case. I think it was shittily booked, but it was a great concept that just needed to develop. You know,
they did have some moments like when Braun bulldozed them during the school fashion show. Like that, their reactions for that were great, and the fact that Braun was supposed to eat a sandwich out of a backpack would have that's the kind of shit I wanted to see, goofy shit I wanted to see Braun doing.
Yeah. And conversely, you then have the Fashion Police, who did not stick together after they left the company. Everyone was waiting for it to happen. I think they did 1 or 2 indies together afterwards. Now, granted, Tyler Breeze is also just not really wrestling anymore in general, but it felt like such a wasted opportunity. They would have cleaned up on the indies with that gimmick. But regardless, very happy for Mason Mansoor to have such a reaction. Then out came Top Flight, and then came the biggest pop of the night. Or not of the night, or I don't know, maybe. But definitely the biggest of the match, the Outrunners. Who, if you guys are not up to your wrestling memes, if you guys are not up to date with what's going on TV that isn't Monday, Wednesday, or I guess Friday, depending on the channel, the Outrunners are exploding. These 2 young guys are just absolutely. I mean, that's what they are. They're the 2 youngest men on the roster.
With worse hairlines than you and I.
Oh God. They really do, but it sells so perfectly. They feel so much like something that would have been part of Hogan's crew back in the fucking 80s. But I'm really happy for them that this meme exploded. They had such a great reaction. They had such a great reception, to the point that I'm kind of shocked Tony didn't book them to win it.
I'm not, but I think them not winning was just perfect. It was
I'm cool with it. I don't need to see them win it. I don't need to see them go for the titles. But I think if you're going to have a meme team go for a title, I think New York is a good crowd to do it, because the crowd is going to be into the meme.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Were they purposely
bad?
I
don't know. I thank you for saying it. You know me. I am never critical of wrestlers. I'm always very fair to wrestlers, with the spot. But their timing was so fucking off. Every time they did something, it just felt like they were either moving too slow or too fast.
The only one they got was when they both dove over the top rope.
Yeah, that was good.
That was the only time they were synchronized. Other than that, all their moves are off. They both did body slams different times. Did it a second time, different times. Yep. Their poses, they did at different times. it was hysterical how off they were and like unpolished. But again, I wondered maybe that's part of the gimmick. Who knows?
The more we see of them, hopefully we will be able to decode this mystery. But it was not to be regardless. The next team coming out were the Grizzled Young Veterans, who immediately picked up their feud with FTR. They will be having a match, I believe, this Saturday on Collision.
Yes.
You know it, saying that it had to have been on purpose. I hope so. You know,
Yeah.
I really hope so. But we'll see. I thought this match was a lot of fun.
Tony has signed some very unpolished people before. So
unpolished, yes, but you could tell the talent was there. Even if it was just like a diamond that needed to be like shined. We'll find out. I am all for the meme, you know, let it play out. The match itself, I really did enjoy. I was concerned going into it because I thought this was going to be a lot of guys for this type of match where it's first pin kind of thing. Thankfully, I do think they played into it because there were bits of the match where it felt like I was playing a WWE video game where everybody came to break up the pin. Like if I'm in a battle royal or if I'm in an elimination chamber and all of a sudden the CPU decides I'm not going to let you pin and everybody gets involved in it. And there were a couple of those spots where you'd see a wrestler protecting his tag team partner going for the pin. And it's like, I got this side of the ring completely blocked off. And then 5 guys would be behind him to break up the pin because just how much spatial awareness can you have? But I thought it was very well done. There were some very good spots. The finish coming as Kyle Fletcher and one of the members of Top Flight, I'm not sure if it was Darius or Dante,
probably
Darius, were exchanging pins, and Darius had Kyle rolled up for the 1-2-3, but out of nowhere, Ospreay comes in, hits a hidden blade, and allows Fletcher to roll him up and get the 1-2-3. Both men, quite frankly, looked shocked that they won. Will Ospreay continues to be undefeated in what is now very quickly becoming AEW's signature match. And now we will see Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher take on the Young Bucks at Grand Slam. I'm fine with it if it's leading to something. I'm not thrilled that we have so many tag teams and Will Ospreay is getting another title match instead.
I can see that concern. I really like this match too. Everyone breaking up the big rig was great because nobody kicks out of the big rig. Okay, great. Well, everyone's gonna kick you into breaking up the thing. So that was fun.
It was very well done.
And it's a very cool concept. I mean, like they used to do with the ladder match, but it's like kind of like it was only like 6 competitors. So everybody's going to get in that match. Like, it's not going to end with 3 guys. So it's fun that it's like, okay, there's going to be 21 guys eligible for this match, but the likelihood of all 21 guys getting in is, probably not going to happen. So you don't know when the match is going to end. That's a really cool concept. And it's a simple one too. It's not super complicated.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's come up with it sooner. Like, good for them. That's an AEW original right there.
Yep. And they are very quick to name it as such too. So I'm here for it. Logan James in the crowd saying Shannon Sharp. Hey Logan, R-Truth is not here right now to go deep into those comments, but thank you for being here, Logan.
I heard about that. It sounded wild. Like, should I watch it, or do you actually see stuff, or is it just like the phone's in his pocket or whatever?
I didn't watch. I know of it. I know R-Truth just was deep in those comments after comments after comments after comments on it. But yeah,
I'll check it
I'd
out
love to
tomorrow.
see
I'm
it.
so tired. I'm ready to.
Yeah,
I'm
you
ready
and
to
me
wrap it
both.
up.
You and me both. But guys, yeah, that was Dynamite. It was a good show to come off of All Out. I kind of said this to Matt before we got on. It felt like the type of show where both a lot happened and nothing happened at the same time. I don't really know how to describe it. It felt like we got a lot of juicy stuff, but it wasn't a lot of stuff, if that makes sense. But the key storylines definitely got moved forward. Very much looking forward to Brian coming back to TV next week. And I'm very much looking forward to
Grand Slam.
Matt, what do you think of the show before we wrap it up?
I thought it was decent. Like, it didn't really wow me. But again, they've got the Eliminator, so that's cool. We're probably going to be at Grand Slam. We've been at Grand Slam every year. We went together last year. The 2 years before that, I kind of had other plans. This year, I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out. And I am scouting some talent, see if we can get some more people on the pod, perhaps a non-male on the pod, change things up a little bit, wild card here, but we'll see how that goes. Definitely eyeing some talent, and we'll keep you posted on that, and let us know what you want to see.
And most importantly, I don't know how much we really got to discuss it. Rev kind of did one Dynamite after this happened. And again, I apologize to you guys that we haven't been so consistent in the last couple of weeks, but we did finally hit 1,000. And truly, it means so much to us. We've been promising you guys a lot of stuff once we hit 1,000, and we are going to deliver. I want this to sort of be a bigger group video when we promise those things and we deliver those things to you. So stay tuned within the next week or so. Rev will be coming back from Ireland this weekend. And I'm hoping to get Producer Boy back once he's done from work. And maybe we'll bring back some old familiar faces who haven't really been on the pod in a while. But tonight, thank you so much. We will deliver now that you have been here in our corner for so long. Or if you're a more recent follower, thank you. And buckle up. We're going to have a good time.
It's like I said a few weeks ago, we have a lot in the works, and we even have stuff I'm not going to pull it out now. Like, I've got stuff ready to go. Yeah. But we just have to wait for the right timing. We've got some big stuff from big names, and we want when their big moments happen, which are, we don't book the stuff, but we feel are inevitable. That's when we want to drop those things for you, like when you're most excited about it.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned. We got stuff soon.
Absolutely. So you guys know the spiel. Thank you for watching tonight. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That way we know what we're doing is right and you guys want to hear more of it. If you're a newbie and you're just checking us out, thank you for checking us out. Hit that subscribe button. That way you can check us out on everything. Now that we're getting back into the swing of things, we will be covering WWE. We will be covering AEW. We will be covering TNA. I will be doing the Gym Pack Zone tomorrow night, covering TNA Impact. And Friday, I will be covering the TNA pay-per-view. So stay tuned for that. And if you want even more of us, check us out on social media. Matt is absolutely killing it on Instagram right now, having a lot of fun. Danny is going buck wild on Twitter. And we have our Facebook. We have our TikTok. We are everywhere. So check us out wherever you enjoy your social media.
Also, in real life, we'll probably be at Grand Slam, and we'll probably also be at House of Glory. They have a show.
Definitely at House of Glory.
House of Glory on Sunday, the last Sunday in September.
Sunday, September 29th, we will be at House of Glory for where we will believe in Joe Hendry. And we're hoping to be at AEW Grand Slam the 25th, that Wednesday. But in the meantime, I'm James Gisanti. That's Matt Cascone. This is the Mark It Down podcast. I wish you all a great night. Thank you for being here. As always, watch wrestling. Later.